Morning. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Truth Tellin Tuesdays with myself, Deirdre Ryan. I am a certified parent coach, and I work with clients one-on-one in person in Cork City, as well as online or on the phone. I also host a range of support groups, talks, meetups, you name it. So if you're needing some support, please do get in touch. So today is Valentine's Day. So I wish you all a very happy Valentine's Day, whatever that means to you, however you celebrate it, if you do or if you don't. If you don't, a very happy Tuesday to you. This year, I'm really just using Valentine's Day as a moment of reflection on what love and what unconditional love really means for me and how I relate to myself and how I relate to my kiddo, and also how I relate to other people. But for the moment, I'm focusing mostly on how I relate to myself and to my kiddo. And what does unconditional love really truly mean? So, and I wanted to share, I am actually at the moment listening again to Unconditional Parenting, which is a book by Alfie Kohn. I am actually a fan of his work. I first encountered Alfie Kohn when I was doing my master's in education, because he also does a lot of writing on school and school systems. You might know some of his books like Punished by Reward. And it says here, a provocative challenge to the conventional wisdom about discipline. And that's the most accurate way I could describe this book. It is a provocative challenge. And I think, again, it feeds into a big paradigm shift I feel like we're all going through at the moment, right? So unconditional parenting. And the bit I want to, and I am also doing this as a book club in March. If anyone wants to read it, listen to it, get in touch. Some of the stuff is provocative, and it will really get us a really good conversation about parenting, about discipline, about rewards, about punishment, about competition. It covers all of it. It is. I'd say it's a lot of it has been really supportive for me and how I parent and how I reparent myself. And yeah, I would love to have a chat with anyone who wants to talk about it. So what I wanted to share today on this Valentine's Day is a really great question he asks. And he asks us all to think about this question, right? So he says that we need to get in the habit of asking ourselves a very specific question. And this is the question, and I'm reading it directly from the book. If that comment I just made to my child had been made to me, or if what I just did had been done to me, would I feel unconditionally loved? So it seems like a simple question, but I find it a very powerful and potent question. And I said, I've mentioned it before, but love for me is my highest value in my relationship with myself and with my kiddo. So it's a real guiding question, right? That if I have the capacity in the moment to take that breath and to reflect before I speak, or before I do, and even after I've spoken or done, right? In order to make a sincere and authentic apology, like we talked about last week, in order to repair, right? If I can do that, it does change. It changes what I say. It changes what it does. It changes how I view the situation. It changes my relationship with myself. This brings more gentleness. It changes my relationship with my kiddo. So I just would love to offer that on this day where people are centering love in some way, right? To really bring that back into our relationships. And even to give an example, that said I was listening to the book, and I find when I was younger, I could never have listened to a book, but now I can if I'm doing something like driving, walking, or house cleaning, the odd time I do it. Anyway, so when I listen to it, it feels like support for me, right? Because I feel when we're diverging off the old ways of doing things, when we're maybe doing it differently than the way our parents may have raised us, we might be doing it differently from the culture. I find myself often in that position. I find it's very hard to do it without support. So whether it's with groups, with friends, with other parents, right? And sometimes it's with listening to a book or a podcast or a talk. So anyway, I was listening to the book, and it was a particular day where I knew my kiddo, it was mid to late afternoon, we're going to say, and I knew my kiddo wasn't up. I was actually out at Tesco, and I knew they weren't up. And oftentimes that would lead me to being scared or angry or judging myself or judging them, or a whole slew of fears. Really, they're all fears that when fears come in, for me, they're like a tornado and they can just rip through anything, right? And so, I was thinking about what do I do? Do I send this message? Do I send that? And I just paused and I asked myself that question. If I say X, will that be, will my child feel unconditionally loved? And the answer was absolutely not. My child will feel judged. They'll feel hurt. They'll feel unvalued. Right? So that was clear. That was easy. I was like, all right, well, I won't do that then. I won't text that, or I won't come home with that energy. So I just sent a message and I said, hey, why don't you get up? I'll be home in 15 minutes. Get dressed. We're going on an adventure, right? Just like that. No statement of judgment on what they weren't doing. And sure enough, I came home. Claire was up, excited, ready to go. We went out. I didn't say anything about anything. And it wasn't, I just shared that, because I know that you would feel unconditionally loved. If you're having a hard time or you're not able to get up or you're whatever's going on, the last thing you need is someone else telling you or bringing that kind of energy in. So sure enough, we went off on a great adventure, and then Clara was like, thanks. It was really great that I got up and got dressed today. Right. So that is, that's a huge difference. If I came in and was like, oh my gosh, you're still in bed, or oh my gosh, like I'm such a bad parent because you're not up, and then everyone's dysregulated, the whole situation becomes about me. It becomes about me. It becomes about my judgment. It becomes about my fear. It becomes completely about me and not any longer about Clara. But when we come in and we really, truly move in that direction of unconditional love, because what I was saying, and even Clara, when I came home, Clara was like, what inspired this generosity? That's what Clara said. What inspired this generosity? And it was a real powerful, very clear moment for me on many levels about the effect of my fear, my anxieties, my worries, right? How I approach the situation. So again, it was just taking a reflection on that. If I do this, will my child feel unconditionally loved? The answer is no. Let me do it differently. Let me do it in a way where they do feel loved, where they feel loved no matter what. That's unconditional love, no matter what. You sleep all day, I still love you. You don't do any work ever, I still love you. You don't, clean up after yourself, I still love you, right? So that's the energy I want to bring. And when I bring that, it changes everything. And in this situation, Clara, but for yourselves as well, your child or whoever, will be able to come to their own conclusions. They'll feel loved and seen and valued, and they will be able to experience the situation radically different. So I just wanted to share that, right? Like, we are all learning. I heard a sentiment the other day, they're like, we're not failing, we're growing, right? We're all growing. I'm growing all the time. So there's always, as my mom would always say, there's always room for improvement, right? And that is just a wonderful, exciting sentiment. That's not a bad thing at all. That's wonderful, So yeah, I just hope for all of us that we can take those moments and just stop and ask ourselves that question. Or even when we're talking to ourselves, right? I've grown up and I've been very critical of myself throughout my life. It's something I'm working on always. And, but I can ask, if I said this, I could switch it. I could say, well, if I said this to someone else, would they feel unconditionally loved? And the answer is no. Don't do it to yourself either. Don't do it to yourself. But when we do that, it just becomes about that. And it just it spirals and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So what we want to do is really authentically jump in there with unconditional love. So that's what I'll be reflecting on today. And I will just be celebrating um, myself and Clara and just the most profound love and connection we have between us. And always remember that the most important and the most effective parenting tool is your relationship with your child. And all relationships start with ourselves. All right. So, with so much love to all of you, um, wishing you love and kindness and gentleness as you explore what love and unconditional love means for you and yourself, and also for in your family. Lots of love. Till next time. Bye.